Welcome, everyone, to another wonderful episode of Unvarnished. I am Chris Hyde, your host, along with my co-host, Darren Painter. Hello, Darren.
Everyone. Hi.
Darren, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How do you spell AI?
Backwards or forwards?
Either one.
I'm going to take this forwards. Capital A, no period. Capital I, no period. I'm an editor, so that's how I'm going to answer.
Okay, well, you're close.
Oh.
Today, it's spelled EMMA.
Nice. I see what you did there with the
Thank
letter.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
good.
you. That's because
Creative
our
spelling.
that's because our guest is Emma Farquharson, Ph.D. And what does the Ph.D. stand for?
Doctorate of Philosophy.
Oh,
I know, which is not what the beginning with the letter P would indicate.
Well, then you should be able to tell us why we're acting so foolish.
I think that that's everyone's personal journey to discover. And we might tell oneself, but whether or not we listen,
Right.
I love it. So, Emma, as we are wont to do, the very first question of almost every interview we've conducted here is to ask you this: who are you?
My name is.
What do you do? Oh, see, I did a big pause there. I apologize. We'll try that again. Who are you, and what do you do?
My name is Dr. Emma Farquharson. I am the co-founder and the CEO of a company called Shared Intel AI. And I like to call myself a recovering STEM scientist, but really at heart, I'm a communicator. I like to take complicated, difficult topics and make them digestible so that everybody can act on them. So my background is actually my PhD focused on molecular genetics, where I know, right? Where I was engineering viruses that are specific to bacteria for food and water safety purposes, and that's because my calling is to help larger communities. But one of the things that I noticed is that, especially since my research was up against big pharma, was that things weren't moving. I wasn't having as much impact as I wanted. So being a beta tester of ChatGPT before it was released, I recognized that AI solutions, because there's so many tools out there and so many solutions, it really was about finding people who could get solutions that were applied and digestible depending on what the problem was. And luckily, people are really aware of what problems they're struggling with, which really does make my job as an educator a lot easier, because we're starting with a problem and I'm bringing the solution.
Nice. All right, I'm going to follow up real quickly with, okay, that's all cool and fine. What's your connection with print?
Perhaps you've heard of this awesome speaker. He's a tall guy, hard to miss. His name is Bill Farquharson, and believe it or not, that's actually my father. So I basically grew up in the print industry. Actually, I didn't basically grow up. I think I actually grew up in different trade shows and conferences. In fact, there's probably multiple people watching this who I have whatever your promo was from the last 15 years at any trade show Bill Farquharson's been at, probably is still in my mother's basement in a box. But it was on my wall at one point before moving. So be proud.
So, Emma, no matter how it's spelled, AI seems to be the big thing this year and last year, especially. You can't escape any news cycle without it in any kind of way. What is your general take, I guess, on AI, and why are you so passionate about companies and individuals jumping in and using these tools?
So my general take on AI as a whole is it's similar to how I view computers, which is that if you don't have a purpose for using your computer, it's just a really fancy bit of technology. But if you have problems in mind or a purpose in mind, then AI is really powerful to help assist humans. I think my current take on AI is I see it split in a couple of different camps. But I think on the larger scale, I see a lot of misunderstanding around AI, where people think that the main way that it's being used is to replace people. And in the camps where that is true, where people are getting replaced by automations and such, what they don't realize is that replacing the human with the AI means that since AIs hallucinate, not all of them, they're at different rates, but because they hallucinate and they make mistakes, you don't have the human expert to catch that. I believe that AI truly can solve every problem that we are able to articulate. It supercharges the ability to get to our solutions. But what I believe blocks that is fear, misunderstanding of how you could use it, and the biggest problem, which is there aren't enough educators out there who are specifically teaching how to use AI for more than just content creation or uh, making a piece of like a digital print or something like that with image with a text to image prompt.
It's you feel like it feels limiting to you, these kind of experiences that maybe are talked about in the print industry, because you just named almost 100% of people's approach so far to AI and print with those two things. But you're saying it could literally do anything.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it really can. I think that where the conversation is larger because there's people using AI at different levels, right? So you have AI on the robotics side and the manufacturing side, where you're literally seeing companies like Amazon um, in developing both the robotic arm and also the AI that is in real time understanding the density, the weight, et cetera, of the item that is picking up. So on that side, you have AI in the print industry and the you'll see those types of robotics with like color adjustment or um, automating workflows with devices so that if there's a mistake and there's nobody in the building, it can correct for those on its own. So that's one side of AI. And then you have another side of AI, which is creating new content. So we see content creators writing copy, LinkedIn articles, case studies, different types of reports for for deep market research, for briefings internal to companies. And then you have the automation side, which is streamlining processes. But all of the different ways at which people are interacting with AI, if you don't see it, how are you supposed to know how to use it? With computers, for example, people understood it was about to change everything, but they didn't necessarily know how they were going to specifically use it. And if you don't have money to throw, which a lot of these technologies, it's not cheap to use them. Some of them are, but you need to spend the time to learn the fundamentals. If you haven't seen why you'd use a computer, how it would make your bookkeeping and your accounting, et cetera, in the early days, you're not going to envision how you can use it, and also you're not going to use it strategically. I think that the largest issue here is that we have multiple conversations going on about AI, and all of them are accurate in some areas, but that's also because of the fact that you have this tailorable technology, so it has these tailorable issues as well.
It's neat that you enjoy, it seems, taking this idea of this complexity and this blank canvas of what AI can do and trying to educate people in a way that actually matters, makes them move forward.
Yeah, no, I noticed, especially in the United States, and my mother is a licensed therapist, so we've had a lot of conversations about the overload and the overwhelm in the American workforce, the immense depression that hits, the lack of motivation. I mean, I just saw the other day that Google's, I think it was their CEO, said that they are asking their employees to come and work minimally 60-hour weeks. This type of that is, to me, is outrageous. So when thinking about how AI can actually help us meet the types of deadlines that are unrealistic for a human being to do, and to re-empower, it's really interesting to use your improving your own mastery because you know what something should look like by having the ability to re-engage at work, to like what you do again as part of a grunt worker, to see new visions as part of a leadership team, to upskill your employees in an impactful way. All those things together, that's what makes me really excited about teaching people how to use AI.
That's
And
great.
on a personal note, on the educator side, I've watched, especially having come from an Ivy League, where I'm acutely aware of the privilege that comes from Ivy League education. I understand the power of an education, and I've seen these vast differences in marginalized groups, and by teaching people of all parts of the hierarchy how to use this Swiss Army knife of AI to meet their needs in real time because the world is changing really fast. I believe that I'm helping empower entire communities on small levels to global levels. The collaboration is amazing to see in these environments. People are allowed to fail. In fact, failing is just as helpful as being successful when using AI. People are hacking and finding really clever solutions to use, or implicate, or excuse me, applications to use these AIs. And because the key way of maximizing the impact of an AI is to be able to articulate what you're actually trying to do. It clarifies what we're trying to do for us as a person, and then also increases the quality of the output of what we get from our from what the AI tool that we're using. I want to see the education gap for these types of technologies get smaller, and but to do that, you need to figure out what is actually useful for people, which is why I focus on both educating people who are on all parts of the hierarchy, CEOs, chairs, C-suites, sales reps, solopreneurs, etc. But I'm also teaching, I just we were in Asia, and we were speaking with different groups there about how they would use AI because it's a totally different need and a totally different impact. So it's the I think I'm kind of scrambling here, trying to figure out the best way to articulate it on my end because I believe AI is a Swiss Army knife, and what it can do for different communities changes from community to community, but there is an impact each time, and it is measurable.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there.
That's awesome.
There's a lot to unpack there, and it kind of leads me to a discussion we had prior to this call, just about you're talking about adoption and usage across different audiences, different markets, etc. Um, in the instance of our market, or just a general user of AI, somebody who's sort of familiar with it, maybe threw in a couple of really bad prompts and were disappointed in what they got, so they probably may be reticent to use it again because yeah, it didn't do much. Um, our last conversation, it just made a couple comments about how you use it in a more almost conversational way. And it kind of, after that, I went back to Chat GPT and tried it out myself, just kind of almost like talking to it and seeing how, and asking it questions to ask me. It was something that you kind of brought up. You're like, have
Yeah.
it almost interrogate your thinking. Like, for example, I'm thinking about doing this. What
Right.
questions would you ask me to make me talk to you better? And it was a very weird way for me to think about like interacting with ChatGPT, but the results that I got in just I took something I'd done before and like, hey, let me see if I could do it this way, and the results were so much better. Um, my long way to getting to a question is how are we how are most people thinking about AI the wrong way or using AI sort of superficially or wrong?
So one of the things that I see a lot with my clients is that they're just using a prompt that's a single line. And when we give a general question, we're going to get a really general answer. So the more information that we put into our prompt, and I'll get back to Chris what how that how I'm referring also to the strategy that I spoke to you about with having it ask you clarifying questions. But the more information that we can do to frame, let's just stick with ChatGPT here, to frame ChatGPT, to frame the AI chatbots with what we're trying to do, the better output it's going to give us because the amount of information that it's trained on is enormous. And the more details we can give to constrain it into what databases, what information would be the best to use to formulate that answer, because there's only so many words in that word count that you're going to get back in responses, the better that response is going to be. So what I mean by that is, if I say, find me the best vertical markets to that would be my ideal customer that are the fastest growing in 2025. That you get back what companies or what verticals are growing the fastest, certainly, but they might have nothing to do with your company because you didn't explain who you were, you didn't explain why you're looking for that, you didn't explain even what growth meant, fastest growing means, because different industries show growth in different ways. Although definitely revenue is one of the top ones. But by so if I then instead said I run a digital print company. We're specializing in print on demand for unique substrates. My top clients in 2024 were in the industries of higher education and non for profits and real estate. And I'm looking to find the next, my goal is to find high quality market to branch my services into. Right off the bat, I've already given my question, which is really a statement and then a question, has a lot more information. So the response I'm going to get now, ChatGPT is going to be saying, okay, so if these were the best ones in 2024, which is recent to 2025, then the other companies that are similar to these are likely to be beneficial for this company. Also, I know that they just told me that they're in a digital print company and that this particular type of service and substrates are what they or what they specialize in. So I'm also going to take that into account when thinking about what these similar verticals would be. And that output is anchored to the information you gave. Now, if because when we're giving information to the prompt, and this, Chris, this is what we talked about. When we're giving that information, a lot of the times we're going, I don't know what the AI wants to know. I don't know what would necessarily make that better other than me just saying what my company name is and here are my services. Maybe you didn't think to give examples of what the best industry were. Maybe you just said what the companies are, but those companies have similar names across the world and you didn't even think that ChatGPT is going to misinterpret you in that way. So the little hack that we talked about is having to say, here's my goal. Ask me clarifying questions so that you can help get me to my goal. So my goal is to find the best vertical market to burgeon into in 2025 based off of what my services are, et cetera. Ask me those clarifying questions. So what ChatGPT is going to do, because the way that the AI chatbot works is that it's this iterative process. It's a conversation, if you will. Is that it's then going to have that list of questions pop up like, how what area you're in, because maybe the maybe the vertical you're burgeoning into isn't really heavy in that area, so we want to stay local because that gives us chance for face-to-face interactions. Or are those the only, what are the services that you have in detail, is that all your services, et cetera, et cetera. When you then submit all of those answers, and they can even be short, just to the point answers, it does not have to be a full sentence, which we love, that the response that comes back afterwards is juicy and tailored and contextual and powerful. So this type of lead with our goal. We haven't asked us the questions of what we may have forgotten to tell it. And now it has that information because it knows what it wants to get the highest quality output, and you get your higher quality output.
So sales teams, for instance, who are using it the way you just described, which is now
Yeah.
happening, right? People are getting better at this, and they're consulting with you to get better at this. If you
Mhm.
could picture a team that does that, while at the same time the president and the managers are meeting using AI for strategy, and the print shops using AI for robotics, and your idealized version of the best use AI company must be so fast. They must be so fast, right? Like, and cohesive and together. My question is this then: how much longer do companies have to get this right or to start? And because wouldn't the gap then in 2028 for companies that never really got into AI now seem like they're really, really behind? How long do the companies have to sort of get on board here?
I think it depends on how big your company is, to be honest, Aaron, because if you're a huge company and it's a global based company, you have the wiggle room of financial time. But if you're a small company, or a solopreneur, for example, you don't have time to compete like that. Anyone who's ever worked in a startup or has been a solopreneur of any kind can attest to the fact that it's all hands on deck. So I if it's 2028 and you haven't incorporated any AI into your work, you won't be here as a small company. You just won't. Um, uh, let us not forget that there are still younger generations coming into the workflow, and they were raised on AI. It's just a different competitive edge. And because there are industries that do look for quick fixes, a lot of companies will disappear. That doesn't necessarily mean that the companies that then took over that are all AI, let's just say that they were AI across the board, that they're a better company. I don't believe that's true. Because what AI is because it doesn't have its own thought process, is it's reformatting and recombining things that have already been done. So the creativity and the new edge, what we see as being a creative new edge um, is actually more of a it's like when you read a fan fiction of a book and then you've just recognized by the end that that actually was really just Harry Potter, but with different types of characters. That's not necessarily a creative new edge. And it also super saturates the market. So if you're a company that has all AI, you're very quickly, since most of those companies are using the same AIs, you're going to look like everybody else. So the competitive edge, which was using the AI, is actually no longer your competitive edge. I believe it should be a mixture of both humans and the AIs. I see a lot of inefficiency in corporate America. A lot. It is. I am shocked how many sales reps do not do any research on who they're reaching out to before they reach out. That's very confusing to me as a scientist who starts with the purpose. I don't understand how billion-dollar companies can be built on that. Um, One of the things that I caution people on, it's not about, oh, hey, if you don't join and if you don't start using AI today, you're gone as a company. Although, yes, in 2028, if you haven't touched AI, I really do believe you'll be gone as a small company. It's more about the fact that what I'm watching in the AI landscape, because again, I was a beta tester of ChatGPT before it was released, and so I've been paying attention to the morphing environment of AI. And what I'm noticing is that innovation, I'm not really seeing that anymore with new technologies. It's not a ChatGPT new age thing, or how we automate some of our workflows, or even the agents, for example. A lot of those are just buzzwords and you don't realize you've actually already been seeing it. And it's not really all that special. What it is that people, these AI companies, are starting to manipulate the consumer. It's the panic of, am I running out of time? It's also, they're using a supercomputer to target you very effectively, which, as we've seen with Cambridge Analytica, can, when you're being targeted online, it can sway your opinion and can get you to act on something. So my cautionary tale when I say this is the last year to actually, at your leisure, get on board with AI, is because after that, it's very difficult. I'm struggling and I am knee deep in AI to spot where I'm being manipulated versus I'm making educated decisions. And as a leader, that's not how I want to run my life and how I want to run my business. So that's why I would say companies have about, I think, a year left, because we're starting to see easy AI agents, and those are automations that run in the background and do a task for you. Yes, that a human could do. Um, but when they fill the market and they're trained off of human interactions, I don't know about you, but I've talked to some people that I feel like I'm talking to a robot. I don't want to be duped. That's why this is the last year that if you don't understand the fundamentals and you can't spot it, you're a target. You're a prime target. And that shouldn't be the case, but that is also how marketing works, how marketing targeting works. But it doesn't have to be a crisis mode. I think one of the problems that I see with AI and its implementation in the workforce is that you'll get the leadership saying, we need to start using AI. And they have no idea what they're using it for or why they'd want to use it. Again, partially because they'll know it when they see it, but there's not a lot of places where those examples are contextualized to their particular industries or workflows. And so they don't have that target in mind. People don't know how to implement it, and they also are then just throwing money at a problem. And then you have lower down in the chain where you have this immense fear over, well, okay, well, if I learn to use the AI and I implement it for my company, am I writing myself out of a job? But I would argue that's not true. If you're just doing something on the small scale, right? If you're, let's say, for example, you're using ChatGPT to create some copy for LinkedIn. In that case, the person who edits it makes sure that the information is correct, is a human. So you're actually keeping yourself at work, because the fact that not only do you understand how these AIs work, and how to write a prompt, which you'd be surprised how many people don't know how to do it. But at the same time, you're now also an in-house educator, and you're also setting yourself up to start climbing the ranks because you understand how to implement, not just chase your tail and fill holes that are popping up left and right in your boat. I I think for the next year, if anybody could do anything, just like to just learn one thing, even if it were the next half of a year, to try with ChatGPT or Gemini. It's really up to you. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, it's really up to you. I suggest ChatGPT. It has the first market advantage. But if you say, here's my goal, right? That's the biggest weight on you. You need to have a goal in mind of what you're trying to do. Ask me clarifying questions to get me to that goal. And it can be a myriad of different tasks, work or not. If you can just start and being able to answer questions, because you'll see how the AIs are thinking. Use ChatGPT with a goal in mind, any goal in mind. That's half the battle, is figuring out how they think, how to use it. And beyond that, it's just bells and whistles on unique or pipelines of AI tools. People aren't even using prompts, right now. People aren't even adopting ChatGPT or don't know that it has a search function, for example. Start there. It doesn't seem like a huge task, but start there. Just take one workflow a day, one task a day, and say, this is what I'm doing. You can literally use Siri to dictate it into the prompt. This is what I'm doing. How can you help me? This is what I'm doing. This is my goal. Ask me clarifying questions.
I got a better goal.
Let me hear it.
I think they should just come to Edge Long Beach
Whoa.
and
Fun.
hear you talk about AI in action, supercharge your lead gen, which I heard is what you're going to be presenting on.
Better believe it. Yes, I am in the second to last session on Thursday, the 17th of May. And I will be not just talking about AI, I'm going to be demoing it. I will be showing the Edge conference attendees how they can use ChatGPT to identify high quality leads as well as high quality markets to burgeon their services into. And then from there, I'll show them how they can find companies or do industry research, deep industry research with cross reference sources on both the industry level and companies in their area. And then from there, I'll then show them how to get the contacts, the key contacts of who they should be interacting with in order to sell their targeted services. And on top of that, I'll also show them how to streamline that lead generation process in cold emails that are for a data set of individuals that they've identified to reach out to. So it'll be people will walk away with, oh, I can use ChatGPT for my lead gen and Perplexity. And it really only took a couple of prompts.
And all of this is going to be in what, a 3-hour presentation?
No, actually, it's going to be, I know. So it's a 30-minute session. It's going to be about 25 minutes of me demoing in real time with jazz hands. I know, very exciting stuff. And then opportunity to meet with me one-on-one and or also have a Q&A hopefully the following day so that people can walk away curious. When the questions pop into their head, they'll be able to submit them. And then the next day they'll get real, immediate, tangible solutions to what they're trying to do or how they're trying to implement AI. Now, it really is supposed to be you got to be at the Edge conference, because if you're not there, you're going to miss one of the few opportunities. And this is not me trying to pat myself on the back. One of the few opportunities to speak with someone who grew up in the industry and knows how to implement AI entry level and advanced level with actual solutions and prompts that I can hand to you physically even.
That's awesome.
That's going to be great.
We're going to be looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. It's one of my most popular topics that I present on for companies and for individuals. And I think a lot of people didn't realize it would be that easy. But that's what I'm just trying to do, educate the masses.
Well, thank you, Emma. This has been fantastic. We're looking forward to seeing you in May. Darren?
Thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
this has been amazing, enlightening, and we appreciate the depth of your knowledge, and we can't wait to see you out there.
I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to it. Can't wait to be with all the other innovators.
Thanks so much. Wait. We're not done.
I thought we were done.
We're not done. We forgot there's a bonus.
Oh, whoa.
Emma,
There is a
you're going to be
bonus.
talking about building your own chat GPT, which I have no idea what that even means. But if you could, let us know a little about this webinar you're going to be doing pre-conference in 30 seconds or less, and why people should care about chat GPTs.
So this is actually a custom GPT, and I know you were just saying it just so that I would have this moment of glory. So I'm going to teach people how to create a custom GPT that's trained on their business. And the reason that matters is imagine that you didn't have to tell ChatGPT every time who you are, what you do, what you're looking to do, and everything there is to know about your business. So that when you go to use ChatGPT to write copy for LinkedIn or a case study or do that deep market research or find those quality leads, etc., it already knows everything about you. So come and see this free webinar. Those who sign up then for the Edge conference will also get the step-by-step guide on how to create their own custom GPT in real writing. And their custom GPTs are what's going to power the lead generation presentation that will be at the Edge conference, May 18th, 2025, in Long Beach, California.
Boom.
B Square.
Now we're talking. All right. So you heard it here first. Look for more information in a link below or above my face, depending on how we edit this. All right. Emma, thank you again. Look forward to seeing you in Edge, Long Beach.
Me too. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay.